All right, everyone, get ready for today's deep dive.
Yeah,
We're going global,
really going far out.
focusing on regenerative agriculture,
Absolutely.
but specifically Chapter 6 of our book, Introduction to Regenerative Agriculture.
It's a good one.
It really is. And this
Here's
one,
that practical stuff.
yeah, we're going to move away from the theory a little bit today
Definitely.
and really look at how regenerative agriculture is being used all over the world.
All over the place. And what's so cool is that it shows just how adaptable regenerative agriculture is.
Yes.
It's not just like one set of rules. It's more like,
The toolbox.
yeah, a toolbox full of different techniques
Oh, right.
that can be used depending on what your local situation is.
I like that. Yeah. And it's exciting because it's not just for small farms either.
Right.
We're seeing big companies getting involved.
Absolutely.
Huge impact. They've got their Planet Positive initiative.
And they've been focusing on these eco mills.
Okay.
And they've seen like an 80% reduction in water usage
What?
just from at 80%.
That's incredible.
And you think of how much coffee Starbucks makes.
Right. Yeah, they're a global company.
Global company.
Huge.
And with water scarcity becoming more and more of a problem,
It's a big deal. Yeah.
that kind of water saving is massive.
It really makes you think what other companies could achieve
Yeah.
if they put their minds to it.
Yeah.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit
Yeah, let's go somewhere else.
to a completely different environment.
Totally different.
Zimbabwe?
Oh, yeah.
The Savory Institute's doing some really interesting work there.
Really interesting.
They're actually reversing desertification.
I know. It's amazing.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Using livestock.
And they're doing it by...
Like mimicking natural grazing patterns.
Yeah, it's called holistic management.
Right.
And it's based on the idea that,
yeah.
animals have always been a part of these ecosystems. Like, grazing animals played a huge role in keeping grasslands healthy
For a long
for
time.
millennia.
Right. Yeah.
So they're using livestock strategically,
Yeah.
moving them around
Okay.
to stimulate plant growth and improve the soil structure.
So they're not just letting them wander wherever.
No, it's very strategic,
It's very planned out.
panned out.
Interesting.
And they're seeing like lush pastures coming back.
Wow.
Biodiversity is increasing.
Really?
And the local communities
Yeah.
are really benefiting from it.
That's awesome.
It shows how everything's connected.
Yeah, it really does.
Speaking of being connected,
Yeah.
let's go to a place that symbolizes global cooperation
Okay.
when it comes to food security.
Right.
The Svalbard Global Seed Vault in Norway,
Oh,
sometimes called the Doomsday Vault.
that sounds pretty intense.
It's buried deep in the permafrost
Wow.
up in the Arctic,
Okay.
and it stores seeds from all over the world.
What for?
It's basically a safeguard,
Like a backup?
a backup in case of a catastrophe.
Like a natural disaster?
Yeah, a natural disaster, or even like a global conflict.
Wow.
It ensures that we don't lose our plant diversity.
That's amazing.
It's incredible.
It's like a global insurance policy
Exactly.
for our food supply.
It really makes you appreciate the long-term thinking
Yep.
and the collaboration.
That goes into something like that.
Yeah, from countries all around the world.
That's really neat.
Now let's talk about
Yeah.
how regenerative agriculture is being adapted
Okay.
to different climates.
So like what works in one place might not work in another.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So let's start with the tropics.
Okay.
High temperatures,
Yeah.
heavy rainfall.
Right.
Those are big challenges.
Yeah. How do you farm in that?
Well, one solution is agroforestry,
Agri-forestry.
which basically means you integrate trees into your farming systems.
Oh, okay.
So you're not just growing crops.
You're growing trees too.
You've got trees in there as well.
Like coffee farms. I've heard of that.
Yes, coffee farms.
Did the trees provide shade or something?
They do provide shade,
Okay.
but they do a lot more than that.
Oh, real.
They help regulate the microclimate.
So what?
The microclimate,
Okay.
so like the temperature
Okay.
and the humidity around the crops. They
Yeah.
prevent soil erosion,
Okay.
and they even provide habitat
Habitat
for
for.
beneficial insects
Okay.
that can help control pests.
So you don't need pesticides as much.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
Costa Rica, for example,
Yeah.
they've combined coffee plantations with native tree species
Really?
really successfully.
That's awesome.
And it protects biodiversity,
Right.
improves soil health,
Okay.
and some people say the coffee even tastes better.
Oh, so it's a win-win.
It's a win-win for everyone.
Okay.
Now, what about arid and semi-arid zones?
Yeah, those are tough areas to grow
Oh,
anything.
really tough.
So little water.
Water scarcity is the biggest problem.
Okay.
But Israel,
Yeah.
they've become leaders in desert agriculture.
Really?
They're turning barren land into fertile fields.
Wow, how are they doing that?
They're using techniques like drip irrigation,
Drip irrigation.
where water goes directly to the roots.
Well, smart.
So it's much more efficient.
Okay.
And they use mulching
Mulching.
to help the soil retain moisture.
So it doesn't all evaporate.
Yeah, they're basically creating oases in the desert.
That's incredible.
It really is.
Human ingenuity at its best.
It really is.
Now let's head to a climate a little more familiar to us.
Okay,
The temperate zone.
more familiar.
What's going on there?
Well, in temperate regions, farmers often use practices like crop rotation and cover cropping
Okay.
to improve soil health
Makes sense.
and reduce the need for synthetic fertilizers.
Right. Okay.
So, for example,
Okay.
in the U.S.,
Yeah.
farmers might plant rye and clover
Okay.
as cover crops
Right.
between their main crop.
Okay. Like corn or soybeans.
Exactly.
Okay.
So rye helps improve soil structure, prevents erosion,
Right.
and clover actually fixes nitrogen from the air.
Oh, wow.
So it naturally enriches the soil.
Interesting.
It's like building a self-sustaining system
Yeah.
right within the farm.
It's amazing these practices are more common.
I know, right?
But let's go to an even more extreme environment.
Okay.
The cold and polar zones.
Wow, that's tough.
That's got to be tough.
Talk about resilience.
Yeah. What are they doing up there?
Well, think about the challenges.
Yeah.
Short growing seasons.
Right.
Freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
Limited sunlight. Exactly.
It's amazing they can grow anything up there.
It is.
What are they doing?
Well, greenhouses are playing a big role.
Greenhouses.
Yeah, they extend the growing season
Right.
and allow farmers to grow a wider variety of crops.
Okay.
So in Scandinavia,
Yeah.
you find greenhouses producing leafy greens,
Really?
tomatoes,
Okay.
even during the long, dark winters.
Wow, that's impressive.
It is.
That's really cool.
And with the demand for local produce increasing,
Right.
these innovations are not only providing fresh food,
Yeah.
but they're also boosting local economies in
Mm.
these challenging environments.
Yeah.
It shows the power of human adaptation
Yeah, it really does.
and the potential of regenerative agriculture
Yeah.
to thrive in the most unexpected places.
Well, we've seen some pretty diverse examples
Yeah.
from all over the globe.
Yeah.
And clearly there's no one-size-fits-all approach
No.
to regenerative agriculture.
No,
But is there anything
there are common threads.
that connect all of these practices together?
One of the fundamental principles
Mhm.
is the importance of soil health.
Okay.
Regenerative agriculture recognizes that healthy soil
Yeah,
is the foundation of a productive and
Yeah.
resilient agricultural system.
that makes sense.
Healthy soil leads to healthier plants,
Yeah.
healthier animals,
Right.
and ultimately healthier people.
Makes
And
sense.
to achieve this,
Yeah.
farmers use a variety of techniques.
Ellie.
Integrated farm management,
Okay.
which is a holistic approach to managing everything on the farm.
Right.
Cover cropping and crop rotation.
You've talked about those.
We have conservation tillage,
What's that?
which minimizes soil disturbance.
Mhm.
Efficient water management,
Especially in those dry areas.
especially important in dry areas.
Yeah.
And agroforestry,
Which we saw.
which we saw in the tropics.
Yeah.
It's like a toolbox
Yeah.
full of different tools.
You choose the right tool for the job
Exactly.
and adapt it
You got it.
to the location.
And that's why observation and continuous learning are so important.
Okay.
It's not about following rules blindly.
Right.
It's about understanding the principles
Okay.
and then applying them.
In a way that makes sense.
That works for your specific environment and community.
So working with nature,
Working with nature.
not against it.
Exactly.
So there might be regional differences.
There will be.
But the underlying goal
Yeah.
is always the same,
It is.
to regenerate the land
Yes.
and create a more sustainable future
Absolutely.
for agriculture.
And the beauty of it
Yeah.
is that it's not just about environmental sustainability.
Oh, really?
It's also about
It's about more.
economic viability and social justice.
Oh, now that's something I'd like to hear more about.
Yeah, we can dig into that.
Yeah.
But I think we've covered a lot
Yeah.
in this first part of our deep dive.
Yeah, we've seen some great examples
Incredible.
from all over
Over
the
the globe.
highlighting
Mhm.
how adaptable
Yeah.
and resilient regenerative agriculture can be.
And we've just scratched the surface.
Oh, really?
There's so much more to explore.
About the potential of regenerative agriculture.
Absolutely.
Well, and let's keep going.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing to see all these success stories
Yeah.
and how many different approaches there are
Right.
to regenerative agriculture.
Yeah.
It's not just about the techniques.
Yeah.
It's about the people.
The people.
The people involved.
Or, okay.
You have indigenous communities
Right.
who have been practicing these principles for centuries.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then you have scientists who are pushing the boundaries with new innovations.
Right.
So it's this amazing tapestry of knowledge and experience.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It really shows the power of
Collaboration.
collaboration. Yeah.
Sharing knowledge.
Yeah.
Learning from each other.
It's not about reinventing the wheel.
No.
It's about combining.
Taking what we know
Right.
and making it even better.
Yeah.
And it's also important to remember
Okay.
that regenerative agriculture isn't just about the environment.
It's not.
No.
What else is it about?
It's also about social and economic justice.
Oh, wow.
You can't have sustainable agriculture
Right. Yeah.
without addressing things like food security, fair labor practices,
Yeah.
and access to resources for everyone.
Right. Everyone needs a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So it's about making sure everyone benefits.
Okay. So it's about more than just growing food.
Much more.
Yeah. It's about creating a fair system
Absolutely.
that works for everyone.
And that's what makes me hopeful about the future of regenerative agriculture.
Really?
Yeah.
What makes you hopeful?
It's not just a trend.
Yeah.
It's a growing movement.
Okay.
And it's challenging the way things have always been done.
Right.
It's demanding a more sustainable and just food system.
That's awesome.
It is.
And it seems like it's gaining traction all over the world.
It is. We're seeing it everywhere.
Yeah.
From Africa,
Okay.
where it's empowering small farmers,
That's
improving food security,
yeah.
to the U.S.,
Okay.
where farmers like Gabe Brown,
Yeah, I've heard of him.
he's a pioneer in carbon-friendly agriculture.
Okay.
And he's proving that it can be profitable.
So it's not just good for the planet.
Yeah.
It's good for the bottom line, too.
Exactly. And then you have international organizations
Like who?
like the UNEP.
Okay.
They're promoting agroecology.
What's that?
It's a type of regenerative agriculture
Okay.
that focuses on working with nature
Okay.
to produce food.
Got it.
And they're helping to scale up these practices globally.
So it's really spreading.
It is. It's like a seed
Yeah.
that's been planted
Okay.
and it's starting to sprout,
Okay.
sending its roots deep into the ground
Yeah.
and its branches reaching for the sky.
That's beautiful.
It is. And as those roots grow deeper
Yeah.
and those branches reach higher,
Yeah.
we can expect to see even more progress.
That's exciting.
It is.
I'm curious, though.
Yeah.
What about the challenges?
There are challenges.
I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
What are some of the roadblocks?
Well, one of the biggest is scaling up.
What do you mean by that?
We've seen great examples
Yeah.
on individual farms in
Mhm.
certain regions.
Okay.
But how do we take those successes and make them widespread?
That's a good question.
It's like taking a brilliant idea
Yeah.
and trying to make it work on a global scale.
Right.
It's not just about convincing a few farmers to
Yeah.
change their
It's
practices.
about systemic change.
It is. We need to change the whole system.
So that's a big challenge.
It is.
And I imagine that requires a lot of things to change.
It does.
Yep.
Economic incentives,
Okay.
market demand,
Yeah.
access to knowledge,
Yeah.
resources,
Right.
and even cultural shifts.
Right.
We need to create an environment
Yeah.
where regenerative agriculture is not only possible,
Yeah.
but it's also profitable and desirable
For everyone.
for farmers, for consumers, for everyone.
Yeah. And changing the way people farm is no easy task.
It's not. It's like turning a giant ship
Right. It takes time and effort.
and a lot of collaboration.
Yeah. A lot of people working together.
Exactly.
What other challenges are there?
Well, there's climate change.
Oh, yeah. That's a big one.
It's a huge challenge.
Yeah. How do you adapt to something that's constantly changing?
That's the question.
Yeah. It's like trying to hit a moving target
Exactly.
just when you think you've figured it out.
The rules change.
Yeah.
But that's where regenerative agriculture itself can help
How so?
by focusing on soil health,
Like,
biodiversity,
Yeah.
and efficient water use.
yeah.
We're creating systems that are more resilient.
So they can better withstand those changes.
Exactly.
So it's not just about mitigating climate change.
It's also about adapting to it.
Okay, that makes sense.
And then there's the need for research and innovation.
Okay.
We need to keep learning,
Yeah.
keep experimenting,
Right.
keep pushing the boundaries.
So it's a constant process of improvement.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so exciting. It's
Yeah.
dynamic, it's always evolving.
Like a living thing.
It is.
Yeah.
Always changing.
And it's driven by this passion
Yeah,
to create a better future.
that's awesome.
It is.
But even with all these challenges,
I feel like there's a lot of optimism
there is.
around regenerative agriculture.
what gives me hope
Yeah.
is the growing awareness
Oh.
and the momentum behind this movement.
Okay.
More and more people are recognizing its potential.
Really?
Yeah. Farmers, consumers, policymakers, businesses,
Wow.
they're all starting to see that regenerative agriculture
Yeah.
can help us address some of our biggest challenges.
That's great.
It's like a ripple effect
Yeah.
spreading across the globe,
Okay.
connecting people from all walks of life
Wow.
who share this vision
For a better future.
for a better future.
That's amazing.
And that ripple effect is being amplified
Wow.
by the increasing amount of information available,
Okay.
the resources, the
Yeah.
networks
Right.
that are dedicated to supporting regenerative agriculture.
So there's a lot of help out there.
There is. We're not alone in this.
That's good to know.
There's a whole community
Yeah.
ready to share knowledge,
Okay.
collaborate,
Yeah.
celebrate successes.
That's encouraging.
It is.
Knowing that there are so many people
Mm.
working towards this common goal.
It makes the challenges seem smaller.
Yeah, it does.
It reminds us that even small actions
Yeah.
can have a big impact.
When we work together.
Exactly.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yeah.
we've gone from the tropics to the Arctic.
All over. We've
Yeah.
seen all these different examples
Yeah.
of regenerative agriculture.
What stands out to you the most?
The power of observation, adaptation, and
Yeah.
innovation.
No,
All of
okay.
these success stories,
Yeah.
they demonstrate this deep understanding
Of what?
of the local ecosystem
Okay.
and a willingness to adapt
To make things work.
to find what works best.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all
Yeah.
approach.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's about observing, learning, experimenting.
So the most successful farmers
Yeah.
are the ones who are always learning.
They are. They're curious. They're willing to learn from their mistakes.
They're not afraid to try new things.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what fuels innovation.
Yeah.
It's not a static system.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving.
It's alive.
It is.
That's a perfect segue
Yeah.
into our next segment,
Okay.
where we'll delve deeper
Let's do it.
into some of the specific techniques
Yeah, I'm excited.
that are being used to achieve these amazing results.
Yeah. Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Well, then let's get to it.
Right?
Okay, let's dive into that toolbox of regenerative agriculture techniques.
Yeah. Let's open it up.
What are we looking at here?
Well, we've talked about some already, right?
Yeah, cover cropping, crop rotation,
No-till farming, agroforestry.
but there's more.
Oh, there's a lot more.
Okay, give me something new.
One that's pretty interesting is rotational grazing.
Rotational grazing, okay.
It mimics the natural movement of herbivores.
Okay, like across the landscape.
Right, like across a whole landscape.
Well, the animals are moving around a lot.
Yeah, they're moved frequently between different paddocks.
Paddocks, okay, so like different sections.
Yeah, different sections of pasture.
I've heard that's good for the animals.
It is, and it's really good for the land, too.
Also,
It prevents overgrazing.
which can damage the soil, right?
Exactly, and that allows the pastures to regrow.
Okay,
And that helps build up the soil fertility again.
so it's like giving the land a break.
Yeah, it's like a carefully planned dance.
A dance.
Yeah, between the livestock and the ecosystem.
Interesting.
Like how bison used to roam the prairies.
Or wildebeest in Africa.
Exactly, those big herds moving across the land.
It's a far cry from those crowded feedlots.
It is. It's a much more natural system.
And you said it's better for the animals, too.
Oh, yeah, they get a more diverse diet this way.
Okay, more variety.
And they're less stressed, being able to move around.
So it's a win-win for everyone.
A win for the animals, a win for the land, a win for the farmer.
I'm seeing a pattern here.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
It seems like regenerative agriculture is all about working with nature.
Absolutely. It's about understanding natural processes,
Yeah, and using them to our advantage
harnessing the power of nature.
instead of trying to fight against it.
Exactly. Fighting against nature is a losing battle.
Okay, so give me another example of this.
Well, have you heard of keyline plowing?
Keyline plowing.
I don't think so.
It's a technique that uses the contours of the land.
The contours.
Yeah, like the natural curves and slopes.
So instead of plowing in straight lines.
Right, straight lines can actually lead to erosion.
Okay, so you follow the shape of the land,
It's a much more subtle approach.
but it makes a difference.
Oh yeah, it can have a huge impact on water retention
Okay,
and soil health.
so you really need to understand the land,
You need to understand how water flows across it.
how it interacts with the soil,
Exactly, it's a whole different skill set.
than conventional farming.
You're not just operating machinery.
It's about observation,
It's about adapting, working with the natural world.
becoming a student of the land.
I like that.
Yeah, you're learning its secrets,
And working in partnership with it.
not trying to force it to do what you want.
Okay, so with all these techniques, how do we know what's working?
That's a great question.
How do you measure success?
Well, there are ways to monitor and evaluate.
Monitor and evaluate
You
it.
see what impact these practices are having.
Like what kinds of things are you looking at?
One of the most important is soil health.
Soil health, okay.
Farmers can do regular soil testing
Okay.
to see how things are changing.
Changing in what way?
Nutrient levels, organic matter, microbial activity.
Microbial activity. Okay, so the tiny life in the soil
Exactly. It's like giving the soil a checkup.
to see how healthy it is
Exactly. And then you can make adjustments.
based on the results.
So you're not just guessing.
You're using data.
Data-driven decision making.
I like it. And is it just about the soil?
No, there are other things to track too.
Like what?
Water infiltration rates.
How fast water soaks into the ground.
Right, and biodiversity levels.
How many different species are present?
Exactly. And even carbon sequestration.
Carbon sequestration, that's a big one these days.
It is how much carbon is being stored in the soil.
Okay, so you're measuring the environmental benefits.
Right, but you also need to look at the economic side.
Right, because farmers need to make a living.
Absolutely. So they're tracking their costs
Their yields
and the market prices.
to make sure it's all financially sustainable.
Exactly. It has to make sense for the farmer.
Otherwise, they can't keep doing it.
Right. But the good news is
Yeah.
a lot of studies are showing that regenerative agriculture
Okay.
can actually be more profitable
More profitable?
in the long run
Yeah. Than conventional farming,
because you're reducing your input costs.
like fertilizers and pesticides.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And your soil is healthier.
So you get better yield.
It's a win-win.
So it's good for the planet.
And good for the farmers, bottom line.
That's what I like to hear.
And consumers are starting to notice too.
Consumers.
Yeah, people buying food,
Okay.
they're demanding more sustainable options.
So they're willing to pay for it
They are. They want food that's good for them.
and good for the environment.
Exactly. And that's driving the market.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
But it has been a journey.
We've covered so much.
Principles, practices, economics.
It's all connected.
It really is.
But if you had to leave our listeners with one key takeaway,
One thing to remember,
what would it be?
regenerative agriculture is about changing our relationship with the earth.
Changing our relationship with the earth.
It's about moving away from exploitation
Okay.
and moving towards partnership,
Partnership with nature.
working with the earth, not against it.
That's powerful.
We're part of nature, not separate from it.
And our actions have consequences.
They ripple out and affect everything.
By embracing these principles
We can heal the land.
and heal ourselves.
It's all interconnected.
Well said. I think that's a perfect place to end.
A good place to leave it.
Thank you so much for joining us.
It's been my pleasure.
We hope our listeners are feeling inspired
To learn more,
and be a part of the solution.
even small changes can make a difference.
So thank you for listening.
And keep diving deep.
Until next time.